Hi there, it's Glassboxed here and welcome to my Cucumber video tutorial series. In this video series, we are going to cover Cucumber. Now, I've already covered Cucumber, but I'd like to revisit my Cucumber series because the videos that I did were amongst the very first few videos I did on my channel, and as a result they are a little bit out of date, the resolution's a bit funny, the voice is not so good, so on. These were basically the very first few videos that I actually created as part of my channel, and as a result I was kind of experimenting back then. Now, however, I've got a much more solid approach on how I create my content, so I thought it'd be really refreshing if I revisited my Cucumber series and also visit the series in such a way that it becomes a little bit more easier for you guys to follow the videos, but to more importantly maintain and give you a better and richer understanding of Cucumber. It'll also help me to write all the relevant blog posts in my test room website. So since this is the very first video, we are going to cover the absolute basics, which is in this case installing and running a very basic Cucumber test. So in this video, what we're going to do is make sure that we are able to run Cucumber feature files, and if you're able to do this by the end of this video, then that is confidence enough that we are ready to go. Okay, great. So really quickly, what is Cucumber and why would you want to use Cucumber? What is the whole point of Cucumber? Cucumber is amongst one of the few tools that allows someone to express code but in simple plain text language. What does that mean? That means that Cucumber allows us to translate code and make someone who doesn't understand code understand what is actually happening. Cucumber is also an excellent tool that allows someone to very easily write features and behaviors and functions for a given application and pass that to someone else who knows exactly what the requirements are for a given product and write the test without having any influence or ability to change the actual feature that is passed through them. Cucumber is also an excellent tool that we can use to document our products and the way it works without having to think about it too much in terms of how it evolves or how it changes, because Cucumber is something that is designed to capture information in small bits and bobs and is, or rather can be treated as, an ever-growing document. Anyway, as we delve deeper into Cucumber and we figure out how to do what, how to find elements on a page, how to interact with the page, and so on, as we dive deeper and deeper into Cucumber, we will pick up on these topics. So in the interest of the length of this video, let's just get on with it. To keep things simple for this video, I would like to just do a very basic installation of Cucumber. And what that means is we won't be using any fancy IDEs or anything like that. We'll get to that at some point. Today, I just want to do command line interfacing with Cucumber. And what that means is we want to be able to set up our project using nothing but the command line and also run our test using command line. And it may not seem very obvious, but it does give you results. It lets you move away from all of the noise and glory of that is IDE, and lets you really concentrate on what's actually happening. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually create a folder in which I'm going to place all of my jars and all of my feature files and all of my code. So at the moment I don't have anything. So let's go ahead and create a directory where we're going to store all of our files. So to do that, I'm going to say make directory. In case you don't know what make directory is, this command is used to create a directory, and I'm going to call this directory Cucumber project. Okay, now I'm going to cd into that directory. So cd is short for change directory, and I'm going to cd into Cucumber. Okay, great. So we have just created this directory, so there should be nothing inside. If we do a quick ls, so ls is shorthand for list, we can see there's nothing in there. Great. The first thing we need to do is download all the relevant jars for our project and then use Cucumber to run some feature files. What we're going to do is download a few jars and actually invoke some of the main method, or the main method which comes as part of the jar, to run Cucumber and see what Cucumber does. Now, where can we get these jars? The jars can be found in Maven repository. So if you go to a search engine of your choice, I'm going to use Google, and search for Maven repository, you will then get this link here, which is search.maven.org. Just click on that and you will end up on a page that looks similar to this. So when here, we need to search for 4 specific jars and download them. The first jar we're going to need is called Cucumber Core. So just search for Cucumber Core and you'll get a result that comes up very similar to this. What you want to do is download the latest version of Cucumber 4, the one that has a group ID of info.cooks. And to download the jar, just click on the jar link here and this will download a jar. I've already done this. I don't want to do it again because, as I say, I've got an interest in trying to save as much time as I possibly can as part of these videos. So once you have Cucumber Core, the next jar you're going to need is Cucumber-Java. And again, you want to look at the same group ID, which is info.cooks. And we want to download the jar. So in this case, the latest version is 1.2.4. So just go ahead and download this jar. Third jar we're going to need is Cucumber-JVM-Deps. That's only the one record that shows up. Again, it should be under the same group, and we want to download the jar for that. And finally, we're going to need the Gherkin jar. Now for the Gherkin jar, it's again the same thing. Just download it from the same group ID, and the jar you want is from here. So once you've done that, then you will have all the jars. So again, just to confirm, you want Cucumber Core, you want Cucumber Java, you want Cucumber JVM-Deps, and finally Gherkin. So let's go back to our terminal, and we now want to place these jars somewhere in our project. So at the moment, like you said, there is absolutely nothing inside it because we've just created the directory. What we're going to do is create another directory in here called jars. Okay, so now if we do an ls, we can see that we have a directory called jars. So what we're going to do is manually copy in the jars into this directory. So I'm just going to say copy all of this lot, and I'm going to place it in the jars folder, and that's it. Nothing more than that. So what I've done is, these are the jars that are downloaded, and all I've done is manually copied them into the jars folder that I've just created via the terminal. So now if we go into jars and just do an ls, then I can see that this folder now contains all the jars that I've just downloaded. Great. So let's go back a directory. So now we are back in the Cucumber's project directory. So with this done, now that we have the jars, we can actually run Cucumber. Believe it or not, this is all you need to run Cucumber. Albeit you won't get very far with this. Nothing's actually going to happen. But this is enough to actually run Cucumber. You do not need anything more than this as far as a complex setup goes. So how do we do this? How do we actually run Cucumber? To run Cucumber, you need Java. Now I have Java version 1.7 installed. So you need to install some version of Java. Whatever version you have is good enough. I would personally go with Java 7 or Java 8. It is completely up to you. But I would suggest to keep things a bit simpler, either have Java 1.7 or anything later than that. At the point of recording this video, I think the latest is Java 1.8.66. I might be wrong, but Java 1.8 is certainly available right now. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to actually run Cucumber, and we need to do it via Java. So the first thing we need to do is actually provide these jars and inject them into the class path for Java. And the way to do that is saying Java -cp, which stands for class path, and in here we want to provide the location of the jars, which is in here. So what this means is we're saying Java and set the class path, and the class path is these jars. Another way to say it is we want to include all the jars in this directory as part of the class path. Simple enough. The next thing we want to do is actually run the main Cucumber command. And to do this, just type in cucumber.api.cli.main. Now what this is going to do is actually run the main method of Cucumber. And what the main method of Cucumber does, it tries to look for feature files in your project and tries to run them. Now at the moment we haven't actually created any feature files. We've actually done very little. All we've done is we've created a directory that's going to contain our project, and we've created a jars directory in that. And we've also copied in some jars that we've downloaded manually. The next thing we need to do is to provide Cucumber with some format to print our results in. To define a format, it's -p, and we're going to use pretty. So for now, don't worry about too much what this means. This is something we're going to go into detail sometime in the future. But really quickly, this is used to define the output style of Cucumber. So when we run this command, eventually Cucumber will output something in a very specific format. This information here can be used to change the format of what is outputted. Finally, we need to actually provide a location where all of our feature files are. So at the moment, we don't have any because we haven't written in feature files. So I'm just going to say dot. Dot is the equivalent to saying the current directory, i.e. in here. So now let's go ahead and press enter. And notice Cucumber is saying that it was unable to find any feature files at this location, which is the same as saying this location, which is rightfully so because we haven't written any feature files. But let's just take a step back. What is this? This is evidence that we were actually able to run Cucumber. And this is all you need. So this is what I was trying to say. To run Cucumber features, you don't need a lot of, let's just say, noise. You don't have to have an IDE. You don't have to have many other things, which may have been given the impression from my earlier videos. To run Cucumber features, all you need is this. This is the absolute minimum you need to run tests. So if we now analyze this, what this is basically saying is that Cucumber tried to run some features, but it didn't find any at this location, which is what I specified here. So the next natural step for us to do is to actually go ahead and create some features. So let's do that. So I am still in the Cucumber project directory. So what I'm going to do is actually create another directory in my project directory and call it something like features. I'm then going to go into the features folder, and I'm going to use the touch command. So the touch command is used to create files, and I'm going to call this my first feature dot feature. So really quickly, what does this mean? Touch means to create a file, and I'm creating a file of this type, my first feature dot feature. If I just remove this for a second, if I say something like test.txt, this is now going to create a file of type text. In other words, it's just going to create a text file. So all I'm doing here is saying I want to create a text file. The text file or the type of file is based on the extension that I provide, and this is the name of the file. So when we talk about Cucumber feature files, it is basically the same thing. This is the name of the file, and this is the type of the file, or the extension of the file. So now if we do an ls, we can see that we now have a feature file. So let's use Vim to actually edit this feature file. So what do I want to do? So this is our very first feature file. So there's going to be some level of explanation that we're going to have to go through. So let's go through it step by step. Every feature file has what's called a feature tag. A feature tag is used to essentially give us some really high level description of all the tests which will be inside this feature file. So in this instance, because this is just a test, I'm going to say something like check that the test room homepage is running. That's it. So the purpose of a feature in a feature file is to give some level of description of the kind of test that that feature file will contain. So because I've written check that the test room homepage is running, it is kind of indicating that all the tests in this feature file will be around checking that this particular site is up and running. The next thing we want to do is actually write a test. So when you want to write a test in a feature file, a test is identified by the scenario tag. So the scenario tag is used to identify a test. So in this instance, all I'm going to say is the logo on the test room should be visible, and nothing more than that. So when I said that a feature file can contain multiple scenarios, a scenario actually contains what are called test steps. And these test steps are written in Gherkin language. Gherkin language is used to identify some level of description for some arbitrary action that we perform for something. I know what I just said sounds very vague, but that is the whole idea. Gherkin language is something that should be understandable by multiple parties, which should be not ambiguous and should try to give you the information across the board. So how do we write these steps? So the way we write it is we have a condition, and when we express a condition we say given. So we say given something. So all I'm going to say is given that the test room has loaded. After the given, i.e. condition, we can have multiple things, but in this case I'm going to go straight into an action, which is a then. And I'm going to say then check that the logo has loaded, and that's it. So this makes up the basic of our feature file. The feature tag is used to identify the tests that are going to be in your feature file. The scenario tag is used to identify an actual test. A feature file can have multiple scenarios. And then this given and then steps are basically Gherkin steps, which are used to identify the actual test steps. We'll go into a lot more detail about this feature files as this tutorial progresses on. But for now, let's just leave it at that. And what we're going to do is we're going to save the changes and close it. And I'm going to do that with an X and an exclamation mark. Good. So now let's go back to our project directory again. And what we're going to do is run the same command we did. But this time, instead of providing the dot, we're going to actually provide the location of our feature files, which is in the features folder. And let's hit enter. Great. So now we can see a distinctive difference in the output. The previous output said that it was unable to find any features at the current location, which is rightfully so. At that point in time, we didn't have any. But now the output is saying something different. It is saying that it actually found a scenario and it found a number of test steps. However, it found test steps which don't have any matching code. What that means is for each step, some level of coding should have been executed, some step definition to be specific, but we don't have any because we haven't written any. And that makes sense. So what have we learned? In this tutorial, we've learned some really basic things. We've learned that we need a number of jars to get our thing up and running, but we learned that this is all we really need to actually get a really basic Cucumber setup up and running. We've also written a really basic feature file, and we've spent some time discussing that also, and we've learned that the feature file contains a number of different mechanics which do different things. Again, we'll go into detail, but more importantly, the biggest thing we've done is we've confirmed, assuming you've reached this point and you can see something similar to this, we've now reached a point where we are ready to actually start writing some feature files and actually start writing some code and actually start doing something. So this is the absolute basic setup you need in order to get your Cucumber test up and running. Thanks a lot for watching. Until next time, ciao. Hey guys, thanks ever so much for watching my video, as I really appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button below to stay up to date with my latest videos, and kindly like and share my videos, as this is one of the best ways for me to grow my ever evolving channel. If you have any ideas or suggestions for this video series, then let me know in the comment section below. Until next time, ciao.